I am an African. I owe my being to the hills and the valleys, the mountains and the glades, the rivers, the deserts, the trees, the flowers, the seas, and the ever-changing seasons that define the face of our native land.
Welcome back. You're watching Unfiltered, and we're having a conversation about reconciliation in South Africa. And I totally love that Joe and Andile, the kind of interaction you're having, is an indication of, it's almost like a research sample of what's happening in the country. What are you disagreeing about?
The fact that we don't know each other. White people have been in this country for more than 350 years. They have chosen not to. In fact, I and you and him are speaking English, their language, to show again that they control not just the means of production, they control the cultural means of exchange, knowledge production, because they are a settler minority that is oppressing us. Now we are sitting and saying we need to know each other. No, we don't need to know each other. We need justice. What is justice? Return the stuff you took from black people. Period.
Joe, what do you mean when you say Andile and Julius Malema and them are standing on pedestals?
I'm an Afrikaans guy, I'm not English, so this is also my second or third language. Just by the way. I mean, the people they represent gives them, and they take it for themselves as well. They're on a certain political pedestal. My idea is to get ordinary people to engage with one another, not Andile or Julius of the world to shout at one another.
What makes them unordinary?
No, well...
They are citizens who are engaged with what's happening in society.
People, yeah, but they are elevated in a way that politically wise. That is not... For when I speak to Malusi Chabalala, I don't have a gardener, I do my own garden. Thank you, your gardener.
Yeah. You see?
So when I speak to Malusi...
Let's keep some distance between one another.
I'm cool with touching people, so...
Don't touch me, though.
Okay, I won't again. Okay.
Yeah, don't do that. I mean, I'm not your gardener.
Yeah.
I know Afrikaners. I grew up on a farm.
You said you're my
gardener. I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a farm. I know exactly what Afrikaners do.
Does this give us a sense, though, of the story of reconciliation in the country?
What I'm saying is, people like him are elevated. They've got a pedestal. They want to shout. That's what's be happening in the country. I want to get ordinary people to engage.
Who are you to determine how we must engage? You're as victims of a process.
You're not an ordinary guy. You're elevated. You want to shout. This is what's supposed to be done in South Africa.
Is it okay if I bring in the other guests?
Course,
Stanley, you must be feeling left out. I'm sure you can see what's happening in the Joburg studio. Does this give you a sense, or is this really a reflection of what's happening throughout the country when we try to have the conversation about reconciliation?
Absolutely. I think that is, in fact, the epitome of how we're talking past each other. And I think there are important things for us to take into account. Reconciliation, and Andile, I agree 100% with you when you say that Mandela's wonderful and magnanimous gesture was not returned. Nobody asked, if Mandela would, after 27 years, have this attitude, after all his sacrifices, what is it that we need to sacrifice? And so on that score, I think you have a valid point. And I think unless we get to that point where we start asking each other and challenging each other with the hard issues, because, reconciliation is not just talking to each other. I am a firm believer in the power of dialogue. But if that dialogue doesn't shift things, if it kind of allows the status quo to continue, you go back into your corner, I go into mine, then all we're doing is we're helping to create happy oppressed people. And I think it's important that on this Reconciliation Day, we have a serious conversation with each other about the real stuff that needs to shift for us to move towards reconciliation. And so on all sides, and reconciliation demands that all of us ask ourselves the question, so what is it that I need to let go of in order to have this critical conversation? And I think it's important that unless we do that, we understand that reconciliation will remain a pipe dream.
We know it makes for good TV, but we're going to try be as coherent as possible in terms of going ahead with the conversation. We have in the studio Andile Mgxitama, and we also have Joe Prins, and Stanley Henkeman is in our C Point studio. Let's take a break. We'll be back in a moment.